This is Seoul, South Korea, one of the most dynamic cities on Earth, a global cultural powerhouse, a technological marvel, but by 2050, it could be a ghost town. Not because of war, not because of disaster, but because of something far more insidious, a crisis hiding in plain sight. 0.72. That's the average number of children a South Korean woman will have in her lifetime. The lowest fertility rate in recorded human history. For a country to survive, it needs at least 2.1. South Korea isn't even close. If this continues, 100 South Koreans today will have just 36 kids. Those 36 will have 13. Those 13? Only 5. Within 4 generations, entire bloodlines vanish. Poof. Gone. We've passed the point of no return. Even if every couple started having 3 kids tomorrow, the damage is already done. The demographic freight train isn't coming, it's here. And it's about to hit South Korea harder than anything in its history. So what happens when a country stops having children? In the 1950s, South Koreans had 6 kids on average. Life was hard, infant mortality was high, and big families meant more hands to work the fields. But then came the economic miracle, the Han River miracle. As South Korea transformed into a global industrial powerhouse, something unexpected happened. Kids became expensive, women entered the workforce, and suddenly, big families weren't just impractical, they were impossible. By the 1980s, fertility fell below replacement levels. By 2024, 0.72. In Seoul, a shocking 0.55. That means half of women will have no kids. The other half, just 1. Let's break this down. Right now, South Korea's population is at its peak, 51 million. But beneath the surface, a ticking time bomb. For every 1 one-year-old, there are 4 50-year-olds. In 20 years, those 50-year-olds retire. Those 1-year-olds enter the workforce. Except there are 4 times fewer of them. The system collapses under its own weight. Imagine running a business where, every year, your customer base shrinks, where your workers disappear, where your taxes double just to keep the lights on. That's South Korea's future. By 2060, South Korea's population shrinks by 30%. 16 million people gone. Half the country is over 65. 1 in 10 is under 25. 1 in 100 is a small child. Montage. Elderly people working manual labor jobs. A lone child in a massive empty school. A nurse struggling to care for dozens of patients. Retirement? Forget it. Pensions? Bankrupt. Hospitals? Overwhelmed. The streets? Silent. No laughter. No playgrounds. No future. And that's just the beginning. Right now, 40% of South Korean seniors live in poverty. But in 2060, that will seem like the good old days. South Korea's pension fund, one of the largest in the world, will be gone by the 2050s. Who pays for retirement then? The workers. Except, in 2060, there will be less than 1 worker per retiree. Imagine a 25-year-old paying 50% of their salary just to keep grandma's pension alive. It's unsustainable. It's impossible. Economies grow when there are more workers, more consumers, more innovation. South Korea's workforce will have by 2060 from 37 million to 17 million. Even if robots and AI help, productivity can't outrun this. The economy will peak in the 2040s, then enter a permanent recession. No recovery, just decline. Young people will face a nightmare job market. Fewer startups, fewer opportunities. And with no young consumers, entire industries, K-pop, gaming, tech, could wither away. So what happens when ambitious young Koreans realize there's no future at home? They leave. Why stay in a country where taxes crush you, jobs vanish, and society is collapsing? The best and brightest will flee, making the crisis even worse. And those left behind, they'll inherit a broken country. Imagine a country where half the population has no siblings, where 30% of 70-year-olds have no children, where young adults, already just 5% of the population, have no cousins, no childhood friends, no one to call family. South Korea is already one of the loneliest societies on Earth, but by 2060, it will face a loneliness epidemic unlike anything we've ever seen. In small towns, the collapse is already happening. Schools close first, then hospitals, then bus routes. Those who can flee to Seoul, those who can't, they're left behind, stranded in ghost towns with no neighbors, no services, no hope. For the elderly, isolation isn't just sad, it's deadly. Studies show loneliness is as harmful as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. In a country where half the population will be seniors, this isn't a social issue. It's a humanitarian crisis. For centuries, Korean culture revolved around family, ancestral rites, multi-generational homes. But in 2060, there will be no descendants to honor the dead, no grandchildren to carry on traditions. The very concept of family could disappear. And when family dies, what happens to a culture's soul? In 2000, 17.5 million Koreans were aged 25 to 45. The generation that gave us K-pop, K-dramas, kimchi fries, and the Hallyu wave. By 2060, that group shrinks to 5.6 million. No artists, no audiences, no one to keep the culture alive. The global phenomenon that was K-culture? It could vanish within decades. From hanbok weaving to panzori singing, Korea's traditions are already struggling. Masters can't find apprentices. Festivals can't attract crowds. By 2060, entire art forms could be lost forever. Not because they weren't valued, but because there was no one left to pass them on. A culture isn't just food and music. It's shared memory. And when the people who remember are gone, what remains? Could K-culture survive abroad? Maybe. But without a thriving homeland, it becomes a relic, a nostalgia act, not a living tradition. And for Korea itself, the loss is existential. Identity isn't just genetics. It's language, stories, community. Without them, even the diaspora fades. South Korea faces North Korea, a nuclear-armed dictatorship with a growing population. But by 2060, South Korea's military will be in freefall. Mandatory conscription already strains young men. But with fewer recruits, the military would have to draft every able-bodied man, or collapse entirely. A shrinking military isn't just about war. It's about deterrence. If North Korea senses weakness, the entire peninsula could explode. And with an aging population, recovery from any conflict would be impossible. War is always hell. But for a country with no youth, it's extinction. Japan already has 10 million abandoned homes. By 2060, South Korea could be worse. Rural areas will empty first, then suburbs, then even parts of Seoul. Infrastructure needs scale. No people, no power grids, no water, no maintenance. The land itself will reclaim what's left. For young Koreans, the future is a cruel choice. Stay and struggle in a dying country, or leave and accelerate its collapse. Either way, the Korea their grandparents knew is already gone. Societies don't disappear overnight. They fade one silent birth year at a time. South Korea's collapse isn't unique, it's a preview. China's fertility rate, 1.0. Italy's 1.2. Spain's 1.2. Even the US is at 1.6, far below replacement level. After 4 generations, a rate of 1.6 means 60% fewer people. At 1.2, 87% fewer. This isn't a Korean problem. It's the fate of every developed nation that prioritizes short-term growth over long-term survival. For decades, we've been fed a lie. Fewer people mean more resources, less pollution, easier lives. But the math doesn't work. Fewer young people don't create utopias, they create societal collapse. No workers equals no pensions. No consumers equals no economy. No children equals no future. It's that simple. The 20th century was obsessed with overpopulation. Now we can't even admit we swung too far. Talking about low birth rates feels icky, unscientific, like advocating for women to be baby factories. But this isn't about forcing births. It's about asking, why are so many choosing against family? And how do we fix that? Number 1. Robots/AI will replace workers. They won't pay pensions. Number 2. Immigration will fix it. Globally, fertility is falling everywhere. Number 3. People will just have kids later. Biology doesn't negotiate. We're not headed for decline. We're headed for disintegration. Some countries are fighting back. Sweden's childcare subsidies boosted fertility to 1.7. France's family policies kept it at 1.8. Even Korea's 2024 birth bump, up 3%, shows change is possible. The formula isn't mysterious. Make parenting feasible. Share the burden. Value care as much as GDP. This isn't about traditional values. It's about rewriting the rules of modern life. For men, share domestic labor or watch your nation die. For employers, stop burning out workers in their prime childbearing years. For governments, tax wealth, not babies. When people want kids, they have them. Our job is to remove the roadblocks. Demography is slow, until it's not. South Korea has maybe 10 years to act before collapse becomes inevitable. The West, maybe 20. Once the birth dearth hits critical mass, no policy can undo it. You can't rally a nation when its soul has already left. This isn't fate. It's a choice. We can keep pretending the problem will solve itself. Or we can build a world where raising kids isn't a financial suicide pact. If we dare.